Hey guys, what's going on? This is me, Mega Sasuke, and today we're back again with another Comedy of Heroes 2 British gameplay strategy episode. And today guys, we're going to be taking a more focused look at strategy. I made this video to help new players and people who are looking for more of a general guide. This is by no means a structured analysis in the truest sense of the word, but it will still be very helpful for you guys. So without further ado, please sit back, relax, and enjoy my video. Thanks guys. Alrighty guys, so to kick things off, we just wanted to say that everything I show you today is based off personal preference. All the strategies and concepts I use worked for me in the past, as they are easy to utilize and are reliable. This video is aimed at those who don't have a lot of experience playing this game and just want a bit of a nudge in helping them get them started. So now that that's out of the way, let's crack on. So guys, what we're going to talk about today are three main concepts over the course of this video, and they are pathways, prioritization, and reserving. Now I'll allude to these three concepts as we move through this video. If you take anything from this video series, it should be these three concepts will help you in the future. But without further ado, let's crack on. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to select your rifleman. You're going to have to hold the shift key down, move your mouse to the minimap, and then you're going to select these capture points by pressing right click, still holding shift, to map a pathway. Now as you can see there, I clicked on this point here, and that point there. What that's going to do is now it's going to let the rifleman wander off and automatically capture those points in sequence. Now this is important, especially for early game. When I first started playing this game, a lot of the issues surrounding my strat was I was spending too much time watching my guys move and capture points, when time could have been easily spent producing units and moving units around the map. Moving units to positions on the map. So what you want to do next guys is you're going to build a Vickers Machine Gun. Now I've already clicked the Vickers Machine Gun, it's already producing. So basically what it's done is it spawned me a machine gun. What you guys need to know about machine guns is, as an allied player, you guys really need to focus on getting this unit out straight away. I know I'm taking my time a lot with this because I just want to explain things as we go. This isn't usually the speed or tempo I'd be using, but it's just a good way for me to explain my points. So the machine gun team. Now what you want to do once you've got your machine gun team is you want to look around the map for a point you can place them. Now since we're going for this star, we need to find a position the machine guns would be good covering. Just having a look around, seeing what they could do. And one of the things you guys need to worry about, especially in this game, is placement of units. I know that's just common sense, but in this game, cover and protection is emphasized quite a bit. As you can see, I'm getting attacked already by infantry. I might have to move them, but they look pretty fine there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my machine gun team, I'm going to bring them all the way over here, and I've decided to place my team behind here. Now although this isn't the best cover, it gives me enough of a cover arc to protect all my flanks on the star map. It covers here, and that's the two approaches the enemy's taken. You saw them coming down from this way, you probably see them coming from this way in the future. So yeah, that's that. So machine gun teams are very important for two reasons. One is as an allied player, you have the best machine gun, I think, in the for your team when you're versing Germans. And for a second, I think these guys are just really good in general at pretty much defending early game. Like you can't play an early game as a British faction without the machine gun. It helps provide cover, it helps provide suppressive fire, things like that. It's super important to have these guys in your team. So now that we've done that, sorry, like I said before, we're taking this super slow. Your next point of call would be trying to get this platoon command post. We saw it before, it came up ages ago, but I just want to take it super slow. So we've got platoon command post. While that's loading, there's so many other units we can get. We just don't want to spend our money just yet. If you take a look on the left-hand side, we can see these three upgrade icons. These obviously have their own effects. Bolster infantry gives you an extra soldier per rifle squad. Research weapon rack gives you Piats and Bring guns, which are very important. And Mills Bomb, I'm not a big fan, but they can be used pretty well as well. So now that we've got the platoon command post, we have all these options here. Engineers, they're very important. Can't emphasize them enough. Anti-tank guns, also extremely important. Can't emphasize that enough. Snipers, yeah, they're alright, but they're not particularly... I'd never use them really in my strats. They're good though, but they just cost a lot of money and they take a lot of pop room up, so I don't really bother with them. Coming across the left hand side, we have these two options here. Now guys, I can't stress the importance of this. Choosing one of these, so if you choose one of these, the other one is unavailable. Depending on your build, it depends on what unit you want. For the sake of you guys, if you guys are beginners, for the sake of this video, and me teaching you things, it's probably best to go for the Bofors. It is an anti-aircraft gun, but it's a very loose term for an anti-aircraft gun because it's far better at killing infantry and light vehicles. This is your go-to. If you're a British player and you're just starting out, Bofors is literally your go-to. What that'll allow you to do is it'll allow you to build these things. Now you can only build them with engineers. However, if you get a specific commander, which is this commander I have here, the Advanced Emplacement Regiment, you can build them with your riflemen. And that can be really useful. But so I usually do that strat, but for the purposes of this video, we'll just spawn a Royal Engineer unit. We'll push them up to this point here. Now another thing I want to highlight real quick is these buildings here, you can set waypoints. So notice how before when I spawned a machine gun spawned in here. See that little blue flag? That's the waypoint. So if I clicked on this building, and I dragged it over here, and then I right-clicked anywhere on the map, the new waypoint is there. So now everything that spawns in will go there. I did the same for my platoon command post. That should be there as well. And now my engineers are automatically moving there. That guys just saves a lot of time and a lot of hassle. A lot of hassle in building units. Sorry, in moving units around the map. You don't have to focus on them so much. They'll just move there automatically. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So, rifle squads, pretty much what you want to do is get them in like some sort of cover. Obviously here they're not very well covered. You're going to be behind some stuff. It's very important. In this game especially, like I've played a lot of RTS games where things like this aren't really important. But definitely in this game, cover is a huge importance for infantry. Now we've got our engineers, we can build all these different emplacements. So we've got all these defensive positions, we've got mines, razor wire, fort assembly, mortar pits, Bofors, and then eventually you can get a giant anti-tank gun, but we'll worry about that later, it's not important. So what we want to do now with that Bofors upgrade, we can build this thing. Now this is obviously what I was alluding to before, the Bofors gun. This thing is a monster, and if you're playing as Germans, you're probably cringing over it because this thing is the biggest bane of their existence. Like, I can't stress how annoying and how frustrating this thing is to come across. And what you'll often find is if you play against German players, they'll focus all their energy into taking this thing out because it is that good. It is literally that good, guys. It is so important for them to get rid of this thing. It plays a huge role in the early game. So what we're going to do is we're going to place it down here. Placement of this thing is pretty important. You've got to understand, like, well, you kind of understand as you play along, like the best points to put it on. I usually like putting it in a spot that can cover 2 routes, just like I use my machine gun. I use the same thing for this. It's pretty useful. So I'll put this here. I'm going to place it down there. They're going to build it. Yeah, so like I said, this thing's a monster. Even though it's an anti-tank gun, this thing can destroy pretty much any light infantry, or just any infantry period, and any light vehicle period. So now that's out of the way, we can go back to our platoon command post. And another thing, guys, I want to touch on is the importance of anti-tank guns. So now we can see we have a 6-pounder anti-tank gun. These things are extremely important. If you can get 2 of them, get 2 of them. I like to have 2 on the field at one particular moment in time, just in case one goes down, you always have a spare. And that's another thing I want to talk about, reserving. Now, I've been rushing through this pretty quickly. I don't want to make this video too long, but basically reserving, all that really is making sure you have a replacement unit to replace a lost unit. Now, I'll explain that in a second. So if you lost this anti-tank gun that's spawning, if you lost it on the battlefield, like all of its crew got dismembered, got destroyed, and it was just this anti-tank gun. with no one crewing it. If you have a spare one, you can continue defending the position as soon as possible. That's the whole point of reserving. If you lose a unit, you have a replacement to replace it. It's pretty self-explanatory, but just sort of explain it again. Another thing I like to talk about is having a reserve infantry. Like, when I choose reserve infantry or reserve engineers, now it depends on who commander you have. I haven't chosen a commander for the purpose of this video, but say for example, as a British player, you choose the most used one, which is Advanced Emplacement Regiment. You want to have 2 rifle squads, because if one goes down, you can always rely on the other to continue building and to continue defending the position. It's extremely important to have reserve units in this game. And as a beginner, you don't really think about that sort of stuff, only because like you're too flat out trying to figure out how to win the game, which is understandable, which is pretty fair enough. But, we'll move this gun up here just to provide some cover. Now, with anti-tank guns, especially the British ones, I don't like the fact that it can fire on anything. It doesn't really do a hell of a lot against infantry, so I just set it so this button here to prioritize vehicles. Just in case there's a vehicle and it shoots on infantry and doesn't shoot the vehicle, this will make sure it shoots the vehicle all the time. Free fire just lets it shoot anything. Second anti-tank gun, we'll place it over here, just covering this entrance here. Now, this build isn't obviously what I use a lot of the time. I'm obviously a lot quicker, and I use multiple elements of a group to win. Like I said, this is for you guys more than anything. Now, what I've done here is I've garrisoned my infantry in this emplacement. My engineers. Garrisoning your engineers in emplacements like this gives them a huge bonus. Like, I don't know what it is specifically, but it makes them a lot more combat effective. They can survive a lot longer in there and do a lot more damage from inside of an emplacement of any sort. So if you have engineers, place them in your emplacements if they're not doing anything. It gives them good cover and it makes their combat efficiency increase. But yeah, that's that. So now we're going to touch on another thing. Obviously we can upgrade to command post if we get company command, if we get enough resources. Yeah, these things here. Okay, so obviously field headquarters. There's 3 upgrades you can get. I generally like going for research weapons rack first, and then bolster infantry squad. Bolster infantry is good because it gives you an extra soldier. It means your troops can last longer in battle, and it gives you an extra rifle to fight with. That's very useful. Weapons rack obviously gives you the ability to unlock a weapons rack. So Piat launchers or Bren guns or anything like that. It really does help in the long run. And that comes to my other thing as well, choosing what you're going to buy first and what you're going to upgrade. That's prioritization. I know that's one of the 3 concepts I want you guys to remember. It's prioritizing what you build and the order in which you build it. So I've decided to obviously get the weapons rack first because I deem it the most important thing to get for this stage of the game. Now obviously this is a very difficult game. I've set the AI to easy just so I can explain things without having to be pressured to do certain things. If you want to see me play like seriously, go watch my first episode of a 4v4 online match. That's me playing semi-seriously. That's me playing fully seriously. But yeah, I understand that. Yeah, okay, so what we're going to talk about now, I thought I'd move on from all the unit building and that. We're pretty much set as far as early mid-game goes. Now what we're going to talk about is use of cover. So, as you can see around the map, see these little dots that pop up on the ground? You got red dots, you got white dots, you got green dots, and then you got yellow dots. Basically what that is, it helps you identify what's good cover and what's not. So obviously, white dots mean there's no cover, pretty much, it's just open ground. Red dots mean it's broken cover, I think. It's not particularly good cover either, like it's not going to provide you very much protection. But it's still a little bit, I guess. It's not a lot, but it's still something. It's so useless. Never use broken cover, you just get killed straight away. Yellow cover is a medium cover, so this is acceptable. If there's no other choice, if there's no green cover, using yellow cover is good. It does help increase your attack in that. Especially as riflemen, especially as British riflemen. I think any form of cover gives you a boost in attack and reload. And then over here we have green cover, which is full cover, and that's the best sort of cover you can get. That'll protect your infantry for a long time until the cover is destroyed. these guys will be pretty well defended. That being said though, the position of the cover, so if I get attacked from this direction, these guys, this cover is going to be ill effect. It's not going to help you at all because the cover's the other way around. If the cover was on this side, then yeah, you'd be fine, absolutely. You'd probably win the engagement, but since it's back, it's pretty much considered no cover if they can hit you on your flanks or the sides. That's not being protected by a wall or something like that. So yeah, well, that's pretty much the cover aspect of this game. It's extremely important as a beginner, as any player in general that plays this game, to utilize cover, as it obviously does give you some benefits. Another tactic, and we're kind of seeing it here a little bit with the Russians, and it's kind of funny because I wasn't going to talk about this, but now because it's here, I'm going to illustrate the point. Blobbing your infantry like this. Now, this is an extremely dangerous tactic. If you're going to use it, I highly recommend not using it, but if you're going to use it, you got to keep them on the move at all times. You can't let them stop. As soon as they stop moving, they're going to stop, they're really going to stop being effective. They're probably just going to get killed relatively quickly. So it's always good to just be aware that blobbing infantry is not a good idea, for obvious reasons. I can name a few, maybe like mortar fire, machine gun fire, any sort of artillery and direct fire, any sort of vehicle fire, just pretty much anything. You become super susceptible to everything, explosives especially. Like you can lose so many troops over like the smallest engagement. So it's always good not to blob. Keep your units semi-spread out. Never keep them clustered together. And I kind of naturally did that. I kind of spread them out. I didn't just put these guys like right next to my machine gun pit. I didn't put two anti-tank guns too close together. You know what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind, guys, whenever you play this game. So now we can upgrade to the company command post. This isn't extremely important. I never really build a company command post till late game. I mean, it might get late game soon, but I don't think it will. It's basically the last command post, and most factions have the same sort of thing, but it allows you to spawn in tanks and vehicles that essentially help you on the battlefield. I don't particularly like using it, but if I have to, I will. I generally do towards late game, because I like to have that ability to move around relatively quick with vehicles. But yeah, as a beginner, this is pretty much all you guys need to know. You guys really need to know these main things. So getting your rifleman at the start of the game to build a pathway to get all these points here on the minimap. Building a Vickers Machine Gun team to defend the point straight off the bat. Prioritizing building a company command post. If you don't have this commander, getting Royal Engineers to build the Bofors Gun. If you have this commander, don't get Royal Engineers, just invest in another rifle squad and use these riflemen on the point already to build an emplacement straight away. Bofors Gun emplacements, pretty important. Obviously, like I said, the enemy hate them, we love them because we're Brits. Anti-tank guns, it's never too early to get anti-tank guns. I mean, like, you come across German vehicles relatively quickly. They come straight out of the gate for them. That's their prioritization as Germans. They just want to get their Panthers and their Tigers out, so you make sure you get your anti-tank guns in the position as soon as you possibly can. And then from there, it's pretty much it. Like I said, you upgrade your weapons racks and that to get these weapons. You can send your troops back to go get them, or you could just build a forward assembly. Your engineers, you can just get them to build a forward assembly, which is essentially just like a forward headquarters that can't spawn units, but can still heal your units and that. With the recent update, it's not as useful as it used to be. Before it used to be super OP. Like you place this down, and this thing could do all the things it can do now in this game without having to upgrade anything. It was pretty useful back then, but it's still useful now. It's actually I don't know. I think it's a little bit better now because you build 3 of them to get the full benefits of it. But see what I mean? Like, we're watching this Bofors just absolutely shred this unit. And that's what I mean by Bofors, man. Like, this thing, I know we didn't see it before because I put it in a pretty bad spot. It's my fault for putting it in such a shit spot. But yeah, you just saw it then. It just mowed down this infantry squad within like, I don't know, 3 or 4 seconds. So now that we've got this engineer's building this, it unlocks the weapon racks up here. So we've got weapon racks here now on the forward point. Instead of having to go all the way back here, it's all here now. It's all here. So what we can do is we can grab a Piat. We can grab one Bren gun. I usually like doing this in early game because it allows me to get a bit more mixed capability. I know some people will be like, oh, well, if you're going to get a squad, you might as well make them specialize in certain thing. Yeah, I agree and disagree with that. I think it's good to have a balance. If you just have, I've tried it before where you've just had 2 Piats or 2 Bren guns. The annoying thing about that is that if they come across a tank by accident or a light vehicle, they can't defend themselves with just 2 Bren guns. That being said, though, if they come across infantry, they can't particularly defend themselves with the Piat launcher. But that's why the Bren gun's there. And with engineers too, like they've got Sten guns, which are like submachine guns, and they're pretty good at mowing down infantry. So place them back in here. This will give them obviously the best spot to defend. And now you can see one of them's got a Bren gun now, one of them's got a Piat. So if a tank comes or a light vehicle or any infantry, this is your ideal setup for your Bofors Pit. You want this setup if you don't have this commander. It's the best one, I think, by far. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So obviously you can upgrade here. You've got your medical stations or your forward retreat point. I'm not sure why. I thought there was an engineer thing here. Oh wait, hold on. I think that's only for the defensive ops guy. Yeah, you can only get him with the advanced emplacement regiment because it allows you to build the engineer squad, which basically goes out and they repair these sort of structures. Just super useful. If you're playing British, get this regiment commander. Can't live without him, honestly. But yeah, so obviously with forward assembly you can build a medical station, which essentially dispatches medics to heal your units, which is pretty useful. Obviously with that this bolster infantry upgrade, I can get an extra unit, so I'm going to go do that now. And while I'm here, I'm just going to grab some guns from the weapons rack. So get one of them, and then we'll get one of these. Same thing with the infantry. I like to keep it balanced. I like to keep the capability a little bit more open so they can take on more things at once. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Like, there's not a lot else from here. Go back to a company command post. We can respawn in a tank. So now that we've got the company command post, let's talk about this side here. Same thing before with a platoon command post. You can only choose one. Same with this one. So you've got your specialization hammer and the specialization anvil. Get it, guys. Hammer and anvil tactics. You just get it. But yeah, each of them give them their own little special abilities. I know hammer gives you the comet tank, which used to be a super useful vehicle. It's still pretty good in this game. Don't get me wrong. It's good. It's a good overall tank, but it's not nearly as good as what it used to be. If you can get this upgrade, it also gives you other cool shit like gammon bombs, emergency war speed, and track vehicle. These are pretty useful abilities. It's very heavily offensive. A very heavily offensive specialization to get. Provides you with all this good shit. Gammon bombs are way better than Mills bomb for infantry. Trust me. I've tested it. The gammon bomb is insane. Emergency war speed. Yeah, that's extremely useful. Your engineers can like speed up and build and repair vehicles a lot faster with this. With this upgrade. Track vehicles allows you your vehicles to track the enemies they've hit for a little bit of time. Which is extremely useful as well. Moving down, we've got the Specialization Anvil. This one's a bit more defensive. This one's a bit more focusing on infantry and infantry defense and all that sort of shit. So it gives you the Churchill infantry tank. Now I've tested this tank in my previous video. I wasn't super impressed by it, maybe because I wasn't using it properly. But it was really weak. Like I thought it would have a little bit more armor than most, but it wasn't that strong for me. I wasn't really into it. I wouldn't get this upgrade for the Churchill tank. I would get it for the heavy engineer, airburst shells, and the advanced warning capability. The heavy engineers allows the engineers to build twice as fast, and they also can upgrade and get this this really nice gun. I think they get the Vickers. I forget what they get. They get something really cool. It's like a more mobile machine gun, It's probably the best infantry machine gun in the game. But you can't use it on the move. You can only use it if your troops are stationary. Airburst shells are extremely effective at clearing off a victory point. It's extremely effective at stopping infantry from taking a point. This thing will shred through infantry, just as good as like Bofors will, but on an artillery scale. And that obviously costs a lot of munition points. We have quite a lot now because we haven't been doing anything. And advanced warning, captured territories points give increased vision. So it expands the vision. So instead of just seeing what we see here, a little bit of this, we'll probably see a little bit further out, probably to the star, maybe just before it. So we'll go ahead. I think I'm going to get the Anvil specialization just so I can emphasize a certain point. But yeah, so that's important. We got to focus on that. Now obviously there's these tanks here. So we got the Centaur AA tank. This is pretty much like the Bofors. It's just a mobile Bofors platform, I like to think. It's 20 mil, it's not 40 mil, so it doesn't do as much damage. But this thing is insane at clearing out infantry. This thing will destroy everything that's infantry, even light vehicles. And it's extremely good against buildings, I found. It's pretty good against buildings. We've got a Cromwell Mark IV cruiser tank. This thing's an all-around medium tank. It's not very good late game. I wouldn't recommend getting it unless you don't have any other choice and you just want to, you're at the end of the game, you're about to win, and you just want to buy one. These things are pretty cool. It's not the hardest hitting. It won't penetrate Panther tank armor. Definitely won't penetrate Tiger tank. It's only good against Panzers and other like medium vehicles in the same category. But yeah, it's alright. It's alright. Obviously, we've got Sherman Firefly. This is your main hitter. This is what you want with the British faction. If you want to spawn in a tank, this is the tank you want. It's lighter armor. It'll take damage from pretty much any vehicle, any tank, medium to large. But its turret on the top is it could easily penetrate Panther vehicle armor, or even Tiger tank armor. This thing is very effective against. Not front on obviously, but like sides and rear. This thing does a lot of damage. And if you get two of these, you can do a lot of cool flanking maneuvers to take out bigger vehicles. Very good, very popular. Like I said before, there's your Churchill infantry tank. Don't recommend. It costs so much for such a little boost. It's effective against all targets, it says. I don't believe that for a second. It's effective against infantry and light and medium to light vehicles. It's not good against Panthers or anything like that. Up here you see this 17 pounder anti-tank gun emplacement, which is pretty much the same turret gun as this Sherman Firefly. They're both 17 pounders, which is odd. I didn't know that at first. This thing looks hell intimidating, but don't be tricked by it. It's not that good. It does a lot of damage though. This thing can punch a hole through a target with ease. It's extremely strong. If I had to compare it to anything, probably the Pak 43 is probably the closest thing, or that giant German excuse me, anti-tank gun emplacement. Compare that to that. I reckon it's probably the best anti-tank emplacement. I don't know, maybe it's just my British bias, but I think this thing has got a lot of punch to it, and it has this ability which allows you to shoot a flare-up to illuminate an area. So I'll show you guys that now. I might as well. So engineers, we're going to go build an anti-tank gun emplacement. For the purpose of this, we're just going to put it anyway. We're just going to put it here. We're going to drag it that way. It's going to build. Now you can obviously see it's a lot bigger than your Bofors. It's far more wider in diameter because it's a big gun. This thing is scary. Like if you're Germans and you have like a tank and you're coming up into a position and you see this thing fire at you, you freak out like immediately. Like, oh shit, screw that. This thing is quite a beast, to say the least. That being said, though, it is super susceptible to indirect fire. It'll get destroyed easily from mortar fire or anything like that. So just be super careful with that kind of stuff. Make sure you always have something supporting it. So as you can see, it's a relatively big gun. It's got quite a deadly looking look to it. You don't want to come across this if you're Germans. But yeah, it's a good gun. I don't really use it that much, only because I don't really need it. It costs a lot, not a lot in hindsight, but it costs a bit for what it delivers. But yeah, it's good though. It's got this piercing shot ability, which is amazing. This thing shoots sabot rounds, which is, if you don't know what sabot is, it's pretty much a good round to take out tanks. This thing, if you activate this when in a tank engagement, this thing will destroy anything in like 2 shots, guaranteed. Super strong, super strong. So now we've got engineers. Like I said before, we had this cool engineer upgrade, this heavy engineers. Didn't notice that until now. This basically what this does, and I'll show you what it does. It gives you a Vickers LMG, which is, what I was explaining before, is one of the better guns in the game. This won't replace your Brand or your Piat. This will replace one of the, get him out here so we can see him. This will replace one of the Sten guns, so one of the guys with the Sten will get replaced with one of the guys with the Vickers. This is heaps good for repairing and building structures, and just overall, it just makes your engineers a million times more valuable on the battlefield. If you get this upgrade, these guys become super overpowered. There we go. See, now we've got a Vickers LMG. That thing's beast. Now you can't use it unless you're stationary, obviously. But yeah, now you've got a Bren gun, a Vickers gun, and a Piat. So you're pretty much safe against any engagement, I'll say. It's pretty useful. So now that you've got that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to build this Mortar Pit. Now, usually you build the Mortar Pit towards the early part of the game. I'm just showing you now, just for demonstration's sake. You guys can use this at whatever period of time you want. I like using it a lot. I use this thing quite a bit in defending. If I have a Bofors here or anything on the point, I usually build it just a little bit back behind the point, just so they can cover it and it's out of harm's way. This thing is extremely good at countering enemy mortar fire, because there's obviously 2 mortar tubes instead of 1, and it's got a good amount of defense. It's got cover pretty much straight off the bat, which is what you need with mortars. Yeah, this thing's really useful. Same thing with this one. You can put your engineers in there, put your engineers in that, and you can even put your engineers in here. Oh, I don't think you can anymore. I think you used to be able to. They must have gotten rid of that ability. Yeah, so here you go. This is your Mortar Pit. We'll just do a quick little demonstration of how they can fire. We'll fire over here. So they'll set up, they'll turn around, and they'll fire pretty much straight away. There we go. So you get 2 bombs for the price of 1. Look at that. These things are amazing. Absolutely amazing. I use these early game a lot. I like to get these sometimes even before the Bofors gun to protect the point. If I run into a situation, and you guys will find this as well if you're starting out, if you run into a situation where the MG42, the Germans, have placed their machine gun on the point before you, pull your troops back and save up and get this. This thing will counter that machine gun in like a couple of seconds. This thing is, mortars are good for countering machine gun emplacements, so utilize these guys well at the start. If you don't know how to use them, just use the tactics I've shown you, the things I've covered off on. So that's pretty much it, guys. I don't want to go too long with this. I know I've dragged on quite a bit further than I wanted to. I've just explained some extra features you can get. But yeah, guys, like I said, 3 concepts. If you're going to get into this game, focus on them. Use them. They're gospel. So think about pathways, your prioritization, and your reserving. Those are the 3 I want you guys to take away from this video. I'm sorry if I dragged this out for too long. But yeah. Thanks guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions or you guys have any recommendations for me for future videos, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as possible. Thanks everyone, and have a good day. Bye. So that wraps up another Company of Heroes 2 British gameplay strategy episode. If you guys enjoyed this kind of content, please go check out my Instagram and Twitter accounts. I post content there regularly. If there's any advice you want to give, please leave in the comments down below. I really do appreciate it. But apart from that, guys, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you disliked it, dislike this. This is me, Mega Sasuke, and I'll see you guys next time.